Hello and welcome back to Gastric Sleeve Pal. How are you today? Well, today I wanted to share with you what it's like to have a sleeve and what happens when you've eaten and how you will know when you're full. When you've got a sleeve, it helps you to feel full quicker. So what's the sensation? Does it come from your tummy? No. You get a sensation here, just about here, and if you put two fingers very gently onto that part there, that's kind of what it feels like when you're full. It's also where I feel my hunger, and anyone that I've actually spoken to that has a sleeve, and I've spoken to plenty of people being on forums, in the hospitals and various walks of life, who have a sleeve and describe exactly the same sensation. So it's kind of from your throat area. And what does it feel like? A very gentle pressure just there, if you were to press on that. And as you heard my voice change a little bit, that's kind of the sensation that you get. It's the pressure. You're feeling what I would call your restriction, and you are able to know that's enough. Now, if you don't stop at that point, or pause, and I would say stop, you will probably get a few of the symptoms. So before you are sick, which people are terrified of, and believe me, that was something I was scared of, very scared of. I've done everything in my life to avoid being sick. So for me to have a sleeve, that was probably my biggest concern. Will I be vomiting all the time? No, it's only happened to me a couple of times, and that was just because the type of food rather than the amount, it just didn't agree with me. And so, you know, I had a sensation that something was a slimy sort of feeling. So that's when you go beyond, or something does not agree with you, as it was in my case. So let me talk to you about what can happen if you have a little bit too much. Well, your eyes can start to water, you can start to sneeze, you can start to have your nose just dripping and pouring and running, you know, a sensation of running, hiccups, a feeling that you can't talk like that, and really, believe me, it's a reality. It's the restriction. All the warnings are there. So stop. You know, I would say, put your hands down, get away from your plate, move it away from you, don't look at it anymore, don't even consider it. I mean, the whole thing is that your attitude really should be about, that's taken that amount for me to feel full. I don't need any more. What I love about the sleeve is you do get those warnings, and no, I've not been sick through overeating, just it was chicken liver for me, which I've always loved. But beef liver and lamb's liver, they've been fine. I have tried again with chicken liver, pate, or just, you know, the tiny little sort of chicken livers. I've just not managed to be able to eat them. They feel very greasy, it feels very slimy, and it feels like my body's trying to get rid of it. So why push it? You know, I've been very lucky so far. So hunger, you know, what is the sensation that you get when you are feeling hungry? Well, it's a normal feeling, but it kind of comes here again from this area. And what I would say is, instead of feeling it in your tummy, you can sometimes get head hunger, and I'll do a complete separate video about that. Head hunger is entirely different. You've had surgery on your tummy, not on your head, so it can be difficult to know the difference. When I go to eat, I will always serve my food for my evening meal in different dishes on the table, vegetables in one dish, the protein that I'm about to have in another, I have a tiny plate and I eat with a cake fork or a children's fork, normal size knife. That allows me, with the small plate that I've got, to eat a small amount on the fork and not put too much on my plate. The food that I have, I always make sure that I put the protein first, and I will always make sure that I then go with carbohydrates or salad. In the early days for me, I found salad very, very difficult. And I love salad and I love fruit, but it's the texture of those foods that are too harsh, hard for your sleeve to actually cope with. So anything soft, the kind of things that we'll be talking about, 0 being liquid, and then full liquids such as soups is like a 1, and 2 is like puree, you know, mushy, mashed banana, mashed avocado, mashed potato, but not carrots, because again, unless they're cooked softly. So you can have carrots, but raw carrot, as opposed to a carrot that's really, really soft, is very different. So you've got to use common sense, and you've got to go, right, what is it? It's texture. And it's the texture that kind of made me feel that I couldn't eat the chicken liver because it felt slimy and greasy. I also had a curry at one point that I didn't read the menu properly. I thought it said beef, so it's like, we're here, I'm having this. However, it was cheek, and I'd never eaten that before. So maybe pre-sleeve I'd have been the same. But I just couldn't keep it down. It was kind of like wanting to up and down and up and down and not feeling, and just almost like when you've got a heavy cold and you are producing too much mucus and you've got that kind of phlegm. Sorry about the details, but it's the best way of describing it. And it's sticky and it's slimy and it's kind of up and down and bubbling, you know, not in a way that is alarming, but in a way of you kind of going, I want this to stop. So, you know, unfortunately, back it comes. Just talking about when you are sick, and I said I was always scared of being sick. I know it's not a nice subject to talk about vomiting. And a good way to think of your sleeve is very much to think of a baby. Because if you think when a baby is a new infant, they too are on, you know, very thin sort of liquid breast milk formula, this kind of thing. And when you first start with your sleeve and you've got the liquid stage, which water is actually heavier than most things to get down. It's got a consistency and a weight. And even now, if I drink water too quickly, or I have too much too soon, or I drink it a little bit fast, I feel, oh, whew. And it's a slight restriction there, and that kind of comes in here. There are other liquids, aren't there? And those liquids are milk, which is alkaline, and those kind of liquids in the beginning are very easy to get down. But of course, then there's complications of different types of milk. So I started with almond milk when I first began, to bring in light milk, which has always been something that I prefer, or skim milk. In different countries it's called different things. I've never quite liked full milk. How you'll be, I don't know. It's all a case of trial and error. So it really is, how do you feel full? You get a warning, you get this pressure. What happens if you go beyond that? You can start sneezing, you can start feeling very dry here, as if you're struggling to talk because you're feeling your restriction. You can get a runny nose, you can get runny eyes, you can get the hiccups, and you can start to feel as if you're really straining, as in when you're talking. All of that fades gradually, slowly, surely, and you get better and better at working it out, don't you? You know, as in, and realizing actually why was I continuing to eat this habit? I still put too much on my plate sometimes, and as soon as I get that feeling that I'm full, I know that I'm delighted that I've had everything on my plate that everyone else has. I mean, I don't choose to eat things like chips or rice or pasta because I don't have the room. I would rather have the protein. Protein is nutrition. It's going to give me the energy. I'm going to feel well. I'm going to make sure it tastes delicious. And I do. You might find that you're able to add things in that you couldn't previously eat, little by little, by trying again in a week's time, a month's time, things like that. Please don't restrict yourself, keep experimenting, it's all lots of fun. But the kind of thing that I like to do is I would like to enjoy an Indian meal like everyone else. And so I will have the protein from my meat or lentils or something of that nature if that's what you like. But I like chicken and beef and fish and prawns and wonderful delicious food like that. It's cooked in an exciting and spicy way. Again, I love spice. A little bit of sauce. I love sauce. When your food is dry, it's really hard for you to actually eat very much. Your restriction is there. The drier it is, the harder it is, and it can be uncomfortable and you can end up not eating enough. So be sensible. But you will be able to eat a little bit more each time. The kind of size that I am talking about at this stage, so it's like sweet corn and peas, and think of that size, and then they put the carrots in, little tiny dice, so it's the same size as the pea and the sweet corn, little bits of cauliflower, broccoli, red pepper. I put some onion in. I love garlic with everything in my case. Why? Because I like the flavour and it tastes special and it tastes exciting and the flavours pop. So thanks for joining me. Please press the subscribe button below and the button to ring the bell to alert you when we're uploading a new video so you don't miss a thing. So what I'd like to say is please do be patient with us while we get all these videos with all these ideas that I want to share. Gastric Sleeve Pal is going to be a place for you to find everything that you want to know about having a sleeve, if you're considering a sleeve, if you're living with a sleeve, or if you've had a sleeve for ages. There's always lots of things that we can all share together. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining me. I hope that this was helpful. Bye now.